Hey, we're here. Come on. We're live. Here. See? We're here. See?
There we are.
What's us we're on?
And I don't know how to know if anyone's on here.
People will come up. Not sure.
This is our first time, so.
Yeah, this is our first time, so bear with us,
Anybody's
please.
on here.
So
And if nobody's on
to
here,
invite some people.
we're just going to.
Share with some people right now.
We don't know how to do this, so just.
You just start talking and
he dropped his gift.
Hey, you dropped it. Hey, you're supposed to hold this, bud.
So here we are. It's being very slow. We're using a computer we don't use very often, so.
Next time we'll set up a better camera system for this.
Yes.
We wanted to come on there and do one live stream and get the kinks worked out.
Try to figure out how this whole thing works. And we were going to have each of the kids introduce themselves, but Uriah is not there right now.
Yep.
And that is really nice.
Yeah, it's okay. Here's this right here.
So it looks
Here's
very
this.
funny.
So it's right here. Yeah, we're good.
So now we just need to see
That's
if
the
nobody
real
comes
us.
on. Because otherwise we're just blabbing.
Well, we can just talk to people even if there's nobody really here.
So, what has everybody been enjoying while they've been quarantined? We have enjoyed singing.
Yeah. That's what we talked. So we went over on the quarantine karaoke, which has like 500,000 people across the country, actually. And Naomi sang a song in the shower. She was singing in the shower, and that was well received. And so we decided that we would sing a song where Sarah and myself and the two older girls, excuse us, we're dropping toys again. Please don't be with the toy. Okay, so then Sarah and myself and the two older girls decided to sing a song. We sang It Is Well With My Soul, and that was very well received. So then this morning, we all sang, all the cows, that was Mommy Cow, Daddy Cow, and 7 little cows at home. Oh.
No more toys.
We lost it again. So all 9 of the cows, all of the Hurting Little Cows crew sang Victory in Jesus, which that was also well received. It's got 400 or 500 people commenting and liking it on the quarantine karaoke. So that's a really interesting way that we found to sing a song and encourage people.
Yeah.
Don't tell them about the one I did though. So.
No, Mark sang Amazing Grace, and that's on there too. On
in the garage.
So yeah, he went and hid, and then the house fell apart while he was outside. Not that the house always falls apart when he's gone, but he walked out and we were potty training, and that didn't go so well. So
usually things fall apart when I'm inside.
Yeah, usually they do. But as soon as he walked out, and the girls were on a prayer chat, a prayer call with our group of.
I'll hold the shirt then. You can help.
With our group of friends that go out to the abortion mill every week. But right now, with everything in a lockdown, they're not going out there, and so they just did a prayer call today. But Mark can't handle different pictures on the screen. It had everybody doing a video chat. And so, hi, who's ever watching? It says one person's watching, but it's not telling you who it is. So. Hi.
There's
Hello.
somebody watching.
They had a live chat today, and they prayed and they sang and stuff
I think
like
you're
that.
supposed to do this.
But I couldn't.
You keep talking. I'm gonna figure this
Okay.
thing out as we go.
But I couldn't be in there because I had a bunch of little kids that I needed to deal with, and Mark can't do that type of technology. If anybody wants to talk to Mark and has a way that they want to suggest him to try, we're willing to try different ways, but he can't do a phone, and he had trouble with the video chat, which was him and the 2 oldest girls, and our friend and his wife and their young children. It was just too much for Mark. So if we know of a way to do that, that would be great.
I have no idea how to do it going on.
I hope everybody can still see us. I'm assuming that
I think
our
they can
video
still see
is still
us.
working.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. I'm hearing biddings. Coming from
That's a
Mark's
friend
pocket, I
looking
think.
for our bread, I think.
Oh, yes, we have our friend making bread right now, and I hope that if someone's tried the English muffin bread, it's come out okay. I know someone who made it twice the week we made it, saying that it came out great. I have a friend who made it, and I haven't heard back from her on whether it came out okay, and another friend is making it right now, and hers kind of overrose like mine did. So, now it says nobody's watching.
I think we're having some technical difficulties, but we're going to keep going.
We're going to keep going, and we can post this later, that people can watch when it's not on. So,
I think it is live.
Okay.
I think we're
no,
live.
I'm saying if people aren't watching it, then
Oh, yeah.
post it.
Oh, yeah, we can always watch it.
So,
Everyone
so yeah, it's been very interesting to see all the technology that people are using to be able to continue doing church services and continue having fellowship with people around the country. We've got some drool going on.
Drool bucket.
So he's teething. So we have things going on where people are able to do these video chats, and we're able to have the technology of being able to text each other at a moment's notice or have a phone call. It would be a very different world to live in if this was happening, in the early 1900s or something like that. We wouldn't have this technology. So that's what we got. So what we're going to do now, we're going to introduce you to this little guy, Malachi. Malachi is 5.5 months old now.
Yes.
And he weighs about 18 pounds. We're supposed to have a well child visit in a couple weeks, but we may not do that depending on what's going on with this virus going around. We don't want to expose to sickness if not necessary.
Currently, our pediatrician is actually manning the triage station for COVID-19 patients,
Yes,
so it's a little weird.
All of that. So he's really, really healthy right now. We have no concerns about him, so that's not a problem. So what else about him? He's 18 pounds. He makes a lot of noise. Mm-hmm. He's teething. And he's missing his grandma hugs because we haven't been able to be close to grandma since all this started. So he wants to snuggle with grandma. That's another great thing about technology too, is we have been able to video call my grandma. So she's 90, she lives in Ohio, and has figured out her iPhone. So we're able to video call her from one of our computers, and everybody's able to check up with her, so that's really fun. So that was our introduction to Malachi. Not a whole lot. He's a baby. He eats and sleeps and poops.
I'm going to take this short guy and say bye-bye. Bye-bye. And we're going to bring in the sister.
Next on the list, next up would be Uriah. Uriah is 2.5, and he's taking a nap right now. I was hoping he'd come in because he wanted to sing a song for you guys, but maybe by the end of the video we'll have him come in. But he's napping right now, and he is 2.5, and he is smart as a whip and likes to try to keep up with his siblings and doing things. Yep, you get up on your knees. Okay, so the next on the list is Abigail, my little ragamuffin, my little street urchin, right? Yeah. Should I like to call you that? Yeah. And so she wanted to do something for you, and so this is the catechism book that we use. It's backwards for you, but Truth and Grace Memory Book. And she wanted to show you that she knows some of her catechism questions, right? Yeah? Okay. Who made you?
God.
What else did God make?
All things.
Why did God make you and all things?
Because everything.
Where is God?
Everywhere.
You say that a little louder.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Can you see God?
But I cannot see God, but He always sees me.
Okay, you need to go up a little bit because people can only see your eyes. There you go. So say that again. Can you see God?
I cannot see God, but He always sees me.
Okay, where do you learn how to love and obey God?
In the Bible.
Who wrote the Bible?
The men who are taught by the Holy Spirit.
Good job. Who were our first parents?
Adam and Eve.
What was the sin of our first parents?
Eating the forbidden fruit.
And why did they eat the forbidden fruit?
They did not believe what God had said.
That's right. Hey, Abigail, how old are you?
5.
5. What do you like to do?
Do extra.
Do extra. She likes to do math, and we do a program called Extra Math on the computer with like flashcards. And she likes to do that. She really likes math, and she really likes reading. She'll tell you she doesn't like school. Right? Yeah.
Only reading.
She'll sometimes say school is boring, but when we get it out and start it, anytime the class is off, there's a function. When we get out of school and start it, we don't do a whole lot of sit-down school. We do a lot of moving around and talking and that type of thing, right?
And I read almost.
She read a bunch of pages of school alphaphonics for learning to read, right?
Yeah.
And we use books from the library usually, but we don't have those right now, so we're using books around the house. But we use alphaphonics as the main teaching part. So you can go out and get your brother. Which one's next? Josiah. So she's going to bring in Josiah. So as Josiah comes in here, Josiah is he'll tell you how old he is, but Josiah has cerebral palsy. He's the one we've talked about on our channel before. He had a stroke in utero, and so he has limited use of his left hand. Where's your left hand? We're working on it. He can use that arm, but limited use of the left hand. Some limited use of his leg, but he can ride a balance bike. He can ride a scooter, right? And he's a smart boy and learns lots of stuff, right? And he wanted to sing you a song.
Away in a manger, naked for a bed. The little Lord Jesus lay down his sweet head. Was stars on the sky, moved and where he lay. A little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay. The cattle are loving, the baby awakes. But little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. I love you, Lord Jesus, look down from the sky and stay by my cradle till morning and night.
Good job. And how old are you?
7.
7. Do you remember when your birthday is?
July 14th.
July 14th. He'll be 8 years old, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is your favorite thing to do?
Dress up as a police officer.
Why do you want to dress up like a police officer?
Because I like police officers.
Uh-huh. What else?
Because they have handcuffs.
Because they have handcuffs. You want to be a police officer someday, right?
Yeah.
Because you get to catch.
Bad guys.
Because you get to catch the bad guys. That's right. But you are a pretty special little boy.
Yeah.
Yep. And we love you.
Mm-hmm.
And Josiah's having a hard day today. He's going for a growth spurt, and we're working on some changes to his seizure medication, so he's having a rough day, right? But he wanted to sing a song for all of you. So we love to sing. He's going out very quietly. So yes, that's our Josiah. Definitely dealing with his disabilities and the challenges that brings every day. Grows us closer as a family, and definitely has things we have to learn and help each other with. So, okay. The door open, the door closed. No. And who are you?
Samuel David Copperfield.
And how old are you?
I am 10.
You're 10. Okay, and what do you want to do?
Yeah, I want to recite a Bible verse.
What Bible verse do you want to do?
Ephesians 6:1-3. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and your mother, for this is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and you may live long upon the earth which the Lord your God has given you.
Good job. And what do you like to do?
Play outside, run around, build
things. He is our little creative man, and there's always ideas spinning in this little head. Spinning. And we hear lots of stories of those ideas every day. Right? Would you like to tell us? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go out and tell Naomi you need her. So next up the list we have Naomi. So far we've introduced you to Malachi, Uriah, who you didn't get to see, Abigail, Josiah, Samuel. Sorry, it's 5 of them so far. And who are you?
Naomi,
how old are you?
13.
She recently had a birthday, like 5 days ago, something like that. And what are your favorite things to do?
Memorizing Bible and anything to do with music.
And
Crafting.
She's a very crafty, crafty person. Yeah? So what kind of artsy, crafty things do you like to do?
Like sewing or quilling.
You don't know what quilling is?
Origami.
It's little pieces of paper that you twist. Right? Is that the best way to explain it? Kind of roll them, twist them, and then you lay them flat on a piece of paper and make designs with them. It's a little hard to explain, but and origami. She's folding paper. You like to paint. And what are you learning from music?
I like singing and learning the piano and the guitar, and I know how to work.
And? What did that give you?
The ocarina.
So the ocarina, everyone probably knows what those other instruments are, but the ocarina is a little thing, like this big, right?
Yeah.
And it's like porcelain, play something. It's got 6 holes.
Yeah. 4 on the top, 2 on the bottom.
You're holding it like this big. It's really like tiny. It's like this big, and then you move your fingers, but it doesn't make sense how you move your fingers. I played French horn when I was a kid. There's 3 notes and you kind of go a certain order. I don't know, these ones just seem like you just randomly put your fingers everywhere. You don't, but that's what it looks like to me. So, and she's kind of teaching herself all these. She's doing YouTube videos for the guitar. I almost said for the giraffe. When you learn the giraffe, let me know. And teaching herself, she knows enough piano to be able to get songs on the piano, so she does that too. So, what else do you want to tell the wonderful world of Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is? There's not many cars on the street because everyone's quarantined. So we saw a UPS truck, like UPS truck go by, and so yes, it wasn't a good exercise. Don't see much traffic. So, do you have anything else to say? Watch the muffins. She's making chocolate chip muffins right now. Directly in snap, so she's got to go check on them. Tell Virginia to come on in. And
it's really weird watching our children not talk because they generally talk
all the time.
This is really weird. You put a camera in front of them, all of a sudden they don't want to talk.
And Virginia's coming in laughing.
Yeah,
something funny must have happened in the other room.
No, Daddy said we don't.
And who are you?
Virginia.
You're Virginia? Are you sure? How old are you?
Almost
And what grade of school are you in?
graduating May, so a senior. 12.
Mm-hmm. I'm drinking water. My cup is very cold. This cup is made to warm your hand. You put your hand right in there and drink your nice hot cup of coffee. So, Virginia. Yes, it does make my hands hot. So, Virginia, what's unique about you and cold hands? That had nothing to do with what I was saying, but
I have gray dots.
Speak clearly and loud. Don't be quiet.
Sorry, Lola. We'll talk louder.
We'll yell at you. No, not. No, I have Raynaud's, so cold weather is bad for me. It makes my hands turn purple.
And where do we live?
Maine.
Maine.
Cold.
Yes. So that's why we took a trip to Florida this winter. Luckily got home before the quarantine started. But, yeah, we go to Florida in the winter. We have the last couple years so that we can do some outside ministry because we can't do that in Maine for 2 reasons. In the middle of winter, it is cold, and we live in small town Maine, and there's nobody gathering anywhere. So we have about 4 days out of the year where there's crowds around us. Other than that, it's hard to talk to anyone. So.
And the one Christian conference in Maine happens to coincide with the biggest festival in our area.
Yes,
So that's not fun.
we have one big festival in our area. It's like 4 days of, there's a parade, and it's the Lobster Festival in Maine. Lobster Festival in Rockland, Maine, because there's other lobster festivals in Maine. This is the best one. But there's a lot of people in town, and it's usually Wednesday through Sunday, and the conference we go to is Thursday through Saturday. So, Donna, if you want to change that conference, that'd be helpful for us, because I can't get anyone to change Lobster Festival for us. So, but Virginia likes to go there. She's made friends with one police officer and the guy who does security at the tavern there.
Maybe people will get through their head that I don't work there, because I did get asked that question if I worked for the tavern. I was like, what, 14 or 15 now?
Yeah. So what else do you want to tell the Facebook world?
I like to do ministry, which currently at home is online.
Which is where everyone else is.
But we're stuck inside right now. So we're not out on the street right now, but we do ministry at Planned Parenthood. I guess that's it, louder. Just on the street, regular sidewalks, people going by, passing out tracts, holding signs with Bible verses. Daddy preaches. I don't. We do a lot of stuff.
We have a lot of things. So what do you like to do to keep yourself busy besides ministry? What are things you're learning or doing?
Bible memory, finishing up school. I'm doing.
Look at that, I don't know what that is.
I'm doing a logic course right now, about to finish up an introduction to biblical Greek, memorizing catechism.
So you're telling me you don't really do anything?
Yeah, no. Doing a workbook by Paul Washer, Knowing the Living God, and I've got 2 more of those, plus there's a new one that came out in the series.
reading Understanding Genesis by Jason Lyle. That's what I'm reading for assigned reading right now. And then I have a bunch of other books that I need to get to reading.
So these are all things, as our children get older, I let them have more choice in what they're doing for school. And Virginia had completed this year, like last school year, all the things that I wanted her to complete for her high school education. So she got to pick her curriculum for this year. So pretty much all of that, she said her assigned reading, which is, hey mom, I've got this stack of books that I want to read. Which one should I read next? She's pretty much self-directed at this point. We help her, and then she asks for help on things I can't help her with, like Greek. Hey mom, what's the nominative inflection of the past tense of the word do? I don't know. I don't even know that in English. We'll look it up. That's the great thing about internet. We just look it up. So she's doing all her stuff, and she will graduate in May.
And I finished up what I was doing for history, so now I'm doing history with them.
Yeah. She finished, what were you doing?
5 Minutes in Church History by Stephen Nichols.
Yeah.
And James White.
James White.
Church History series on sermon audio. So that was 69 lessons on church history that I did.
So now she's just joining us as we do ancient history with the younger kids, because it's March right now. No, it's April right now. It's already April. And so I'm not going to have her start a new history curriculum for the last 2 months of school. So she does it with us. So, anything else you want to tell the Facebook world?
If you want me to tell them something, just ask me the question.
What's your favorite thing to cook?
Oh. I don't know. I like making pretzels. More because I like eating pretzels.
What's your favorite thing to eat?
Oh. I have a lot of things that
I know one of them. Go ahead.
Cabbage stuff.
Okay. Cabbage stuff. I wasn't wrong.
We don't have a good name for it, so we call it cabbage stuff. It's cabbage and carrots and sausage cooked up.
I was thinking chicken curry.
And chicken curry. Preferably with rice and homemade tortillas.
Yeah. So I think that's all. That's introducing the children to you. So, go ahead. Do you have any more questions or anything I have to answer?
We got 5 people watching, but they haven't asked it.
People, ask a question. I have a really hard time sitting here just talking to the screen. You know what's really weird? Because nobody else is in the show. Someone might bring the baby back if he needs me. So, what are we doing to keep ourselves busy in quarantine? Well, I'll just explain what a normal day around here. Day in the life of the Copperfield family. So, we get up at 6 a.m. because the boys are all awake long before that, usually like 5:30, and I make them stay in bed till 6 a.m. And so even the 2-year-old knows how to see that the clock says 6:00 and he's allowed up. So as soon as it hits 6:00, they all come stomping out of bed towards my room. So I get up at 6 o'clock. The older girls get up at 6:30. People do chores and things until around 7:15 when we eat breakfast, depending what the breakfast is, whether it has to be cooked or if it's something we just put on the table. Like if we made muffins the night before and they're just sitting on the table, then there's less work to do in the morning. And we'll do some chores before breakfast is on the table. Usually the 6 to 6:30 is me sitting in the living room with the kids, and I'm checking the email and stuff like that while they're playing Uno or doing drawing pictures and things like that. Hi. And then come 6:30, once the girls get up, I start moving around helping the kids do chores. Josiah usually has seizures. Like if he's going to have seizures, he has them first thing in the morning usually. And so from 6 to 6:30, I'm more just keeping everyone kind of low key and keeping Josiah next to me so that if he has a seizure, I can help him. Right now, how the seizures work, he doesn't need help when he has one. We just need to make sure he doesn't fall from wherever he is. Mm-hmm. So he just gets really stiff. So if he's like sitting on the couch next to me, which is normally where we are, I can just put my arm around him and comfort him. But I don't try to get up and do chores with them and stuff, because if he's up walking around, it's harder to get him to a safe place.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm holding the baby. So, and then depending on the day, depending what's going on, is whether Mark's up with us or not to help.
My usefulness is dependent upon a lot of factors.
So people who might be new to this, seeing this video, Mark has a neurological issue that doesn't discriminate against time of day or whether I need him or not. It happens when it happens. And so some days he's useful and some days he isn't. Hi. We have people peeking in the door.
They're always sneaking and peeking at us.
So
we do have 5 people watching. We haven't had any questions. If you're on the live stream, feel free to pop in that little chat window and ask us whatever questions you want. We will attempt to answer any of them that aren't terribly, horribly embarrassing. We're okay with embarrassing around here. You can ask us anything you want. We'll probably tell you.
But so anyway, so our morning, we get up, we have breakfast around 7:15, 7:30, kind of how it falls. We do chores before that breakfast. So Samuel's in charge of laundry. He's a 10-year-old. He makes sure that it gets started and the wash goes to the dryer. The little kids help him collect the laundry. They collect the trash cans, take them out to the big trash can. The girls wipe down the bathrooms. I think the dishwasher gets emptied. We don't use our dishwasher as a dishwasher most of the time. We use it as a drying rack. But the dishes get put away in the morning, so we have a place to put the dishes as we wash them. We're just not big fans of the dishwasher.
I always feel like I used to work as a dishwasher years ago. How do you know the question? Look at you. Just I was a dishwasher years ago when I was a teenager, as a young man. The first couple of jobs you get, and I really, really liked washing dishes and doing a good job. And I always feel like the home-sized dishwashers just don't do the job they need to do. So they say just throw them in the dishwasher, just rinse them off. So then I wash the whole things and they get them totally clean, and then it's like, well, what's the point of running the site?
We sanitize.
Yeah. So we mostly wash. So someone asked, any more children in our future?
Only God knows. So
that would be awesome. We certainly embrace
that little eyebrow thing he did doesn't mean anything. We do not know if God has more children for us. We have left it up to God since after around the time we got home. So if people don't know our history, I'll give a quick history. We have an older son, Nathaniel, who you didn't meet in this video. He does not live at home anymore. He's 23. He is, so he's moved out. He came into the marriage as my stepson. So our first child together is Virginia, who's now 17. And when we first got married, Mark was dealing with this neurological issue. It was a very new thing. He had just been diagnosed. Well, he wasn't even diagnosed at that point. He was
18 years later. I finally got a diagnosis last month.
We knew there was a problem, but we went on birth control when we got married because we felt it was irresponsible to have children at that point. And even on birth control, we got pregnant and had Virginia, and that was a great, great blessing. We decided we were still smarter than God. We went back on birth control, and 3 years later, Mark said, okay, let's try for another one, and we immediately got pregnant, and we had a miscarriage. And so we said, God, we said, no, we don't want children, and you gave us one. And then we said, yes, we want children, and you took that one away, and so it seems like you're in charge of this. And so since then, we've left it up to God. So quickly, we then had, just a few months later, we got pregnant with Naomi. Fine pregnancy, everything went well. 2 years after that, we had a little boy who was stillborn from group B strep infection. There was a whole complication there, and not enough time to explain it in this video. But
he was 37 weeks. Like, he was 7 pounds. He was actually a very big baby.
Yes, he was a fine-sized baby, but it was because of group B strep infection, and there was some malpractice stuff there, so it wasn't something that we did, but God had a plan for it, and he taught us so much through that time. And they told us we might never have kids because of the infection that I had, and then 8 weeks later we got pregnant with Samuel. So Samuel's now 10. Then we had Josiah. After Josiah, who we didn't know had CP, and the whole issue there, that didn't come about until he was almost a year old, but we found all that out. We had a miscarriage after him. But then just a few months later, we got pregnant with Abigail. And then after Abigail, we had Uriah. And after Uriah, we had Malachi. So
I think it's important because people ask the question when we mention things like miscarriages, and it's not a topic a lot of people are open about because I think they just don't know how to bring up the topic. But I think probably that's a good thing for us to do. Another friend, actually a couple friends recently on their Facebook have been talking about babies that they've lost to miscarriage along the way, and and how they are dealing with that even years later. And last week was actually the anniversary of Joshua's death. It's 11 years, March 25th, 2009. So I'm going to go see that baby. And you can speak to that issue.
There's some questions on your check.
Oh.
Okay, I will look at that as well.
Okay. We were being told that there was some other stuff that was coming up. So the girls have some of the computer Kindle stuff out there, so they're seeing some of the things that Mark didn't know to look at. So we get the question.
It's a miscarriage, yeah.
Miscarriage. So I would not say that miscarriages are any less worthy of grief. Like, it is a baby. You have lost a baby, and there is a lot of grief there. My grief with our stillborn was different, only because I had to deal with what comes after a full-term pregnancy. So, like, my milk came in, I had the full recovery time that you have from pregnancy, which is different when you have a miscarriage. But they're both things worth grieving about, and I don't think that people who have not experienced the loss of that baby, or who don't see a baby being a baby from conception, which is what the Bible says, understand that it's the loss of a life that can never be replaced. I remember people telling us, it's okay, you're young, you can have more. But that doesn't replace that baby. Like, you don't say that to somebody, like, my dad passed away. You don't say that to somebody when their dad passed away, like, oh, well, your mom could get remarried and they'll be fine. Like, or even if someone's pet dies, you don't say, oh, well, you could get another dog. Like, that doesn't make it any better. And I'm not saying a dog's life is the same value as a human's, but that idea, you don't say it in place of any other death, except for someone who loses a baby.
That could be another whole video of things that you probably shouldn't say to people.
Well, I have said some of those on some of the
She said that in some of those videos. But definitely know that we understand the grief that people are going through, and it's not an easy thing to walk through, because a lot of times it's invisible to others. A lot of people don't announce a pregnancy until later, so people didn't even know they were pregnant. We've learned to embrace pregnancy as an early blessing from the Lord, even though she's hogging the baby, as you like to say. Even though mommy's doing all the hard work there, we're all together, and we're all embracing this life, this blessing from God. And so if God gives us more, that would be awesome. And if He chooses not to give us more, that would be awesome too. We love the children we have, and we would embrace as many as God saw fit to give us. Usually for us, it's been about 2 years between. If you look
actually,
at the
this is our closest pregnancy. Besides, like, we had that because of Joshua dying, and I wasn't nursing and things. Samuel came really quick, but Uriah Malachi was actually one of the closest.
Yeah, between Uriah and Malachi was less than 2 years, which normally was between 2 years and 28 months or something like that.
It was just over 2 years.
Just over 2 years, I guess.
Mark's brain doesn't miss.
Sorry, I get distracted really easily, and I also get lost in the middle of things. So that's why we let her talk on camera. We do have a question from Lola. Please tell us what you do on the day before your Sabbath to prepare for rest, and then what things that you enjoy. And then she says, and if we announce a pregnancy to the world before she finds out, she'll be very offended. Lola is a dear friend who lives only about 3 hours away.
Yeah.
But 2 states away. It's a long ways away.
And right now we're not allowed to leave the house.
Yeah.
So, Lola, come see us.
We're
allowed to leave the house. So what do we do? That was a good question. What do we do the day before to prepare, and then what do we enjoy all that?
Mm-hmm.
So it looks a little different right now because we're stuck at home, but I'll explain what it looks like when we're actually going out into the real world. So on Saturday, we take the day, give all the children baths, so we actually go to church clean. So that is planned into our day. We know that when we're going into Saturday, we need to be home in the evening so that I can make sure that everybody gets a bath time. And even if we start baths early in the afternoon, sometimes my kids get into pajamas at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon because that's when I have a chance to give them a bath. Because of Mark's neurological issues, I have to do the bathing of the children, which, like, I have to help Abigail with her hair. She's 5, so I have to help her with her hair. I have to help Uriah because he's 2.5 and he can't wash himself. I have to do Malachi, and I have to help Josiah because of his seizures and his CP. I have to help him wash up. So that's 4 children that I have to give baths to, plus I need to take them myself. So
And sometimes
I have to make sure that I'm there for Mark in case he has a problem during his. So baths are a long thing in our house. So usually we are home Saturday evenings, if possible, to do all of that. If we know we're not going to be home Saturday evening, like somebody has invited us out to do something, we don't stay out too late on Saturday night, but I will do baths Saturday morning, and the kids are going to have a day's worth of dirt on them because I'm not going to have time to do it Saturday night if we happen to be out. But baths are not a quick thing in our house because of all the complications that go on.
There's a lot of us, and some of us, we'll just leave it there.
So we make sure that we get bath time in. We also make our meals for Sunday. One of the meals that we sometimes have on Sunday is cereal and milk, and that's planned in the schedule, and that is totally fine because my kids are eating. But we do not do meal prep on Sunday. We might warm something up, but we're not even going to, for the most part, put together a casserole or anything. We'll have that all mixed up and ready to throw in the oven. And I'm not saying that you can't do something to feed your family on Sunday. The Sabbath laws and all of those things, we're talking to the Jews in the Old Testament, but we like to be able to actually have the day to be able to rest. And so being something that we can prepare ahead and not have to cook on that day helps us to be able to have that time to rest. So our meals usually will look like something that we can prepare the night before for breakfast. So it might be like baked oatmeal, it might be an egg casserole, it might be muffins of some kind that we eat Sunday morning before church. When we get home from church, we have something that's either hot in the crock pot or cereal and milk so that we can get people right down for nap and we don't have to take too much time to do it. Like if we come home and have to warm something up, it would take a while. We did find out the last couple of weeks before we went into quarantine that it was nice to have something in the crock pot because we were able to enjoy it with friends when we had some chance to invite friends over last minute. So
sometimes we just go to church and we're like, well, we have a meal prepared at home, and then we see a new couple at church or people that we've tried to get a hold of before to try to visit with them. And
we just randomly have someone come back.
Sometimes we just randomly grab a family and say, you're coming with us. We invite people over and just enjoy a time of resting together, and a lot of times we try to talk about what we've learned throughout the week in our own Bible study with other families, or what the sermon was about that Sunday,
or possibly
the Sunday school lesson, which we're doing a parenting class right now.
We were
doing a parenting class. Now we're doing nothing, I guess. We were doing a parenting class, and so we had a young couple from the class and their kids over, and so our kids had a grand old time. We sat and talked and visited, just caught up with them and got to know people. So that's a good opportunity that if you're not rushing around to do a bunch of other things, if we've kind of cleared our schedule, then we're able to minister to other families, bring them into our home, show them hospitality, and hopefully be encouragement to them.
Mm-hmm. And so back to Saturday. So we'll make something for breakfast that can be made ahead. That might be throwing it in the oven Sunday morning and letting it cook while we do dress and stuff like that, but something we don't have to wear. Something easy, usually the crock pot for lunch. Mm-hmm. And then we had a Sunday evening service. So we would normally eat at around 4:30 on Sunday so that we could have the kids all fed before we went to church, and then we'd have a big snack meal. So for supper, we'd have something easy. It might be a casserole we threw in the oven. It might be a pot of soup that we were able to just throw on the stove and warm up. Mm-hmm. Also making sure that laundry got done on Saturdays so that we have a lot of laundry. There's a lot of us. Yeah. So doing laundry on Saturdays, so we made sure that we weren't running around looking for clean clothes on Sunday morning. Packing the Bible bag, which also included diapers and stuff for the kiddos. He doesn't have to come in if he doesn't want to, but we have a Uriah that just woke up. But
he's 2.5, and he just woke up, and here is his big boys. Hi.
How are you?
Everybody's watching.
Hi, Lola.
Hi, Lola. She's watching.
There's other people watching, too.
There's other people watching.
Do you want to say anything to Lola, or do you want to go out with the other kids?
You want to go out with another kid? Okay.
Another kid. Whatever kid.
You're watching a show out there.
So, yeah, we let the kids watch the show today. That's why they're all being quiet. So we do all of those things to get ready for Sunday. Packing the Bible bag. Having a family our size, we need a bag to carry all of our Bibles to church.
Sometimes 2 bags, because it's a little heavy when you start putting 7, 8 Bibles.
So,
I think we have 6 right now.
So now we have the Big People Bible and the Little Kids Bible bag. Mark, Virginia, Naomi, and Samuel's Bibles are all in the Big People Bible bag. My Bible and the little kids stuff is all in the other bag. So I can take it if I leave Sunday school with them. They stay in class with us. We worship together as a family through Sunday school and through church. So we have them come into the Sunday school class with us, but occasionally I'll leave. How our Sunday school is set up, it's a little hard to hear people if the kids are getting a little rowdy, so I'll take them out a little early if necessary. But in the bag for the little kids, we have an old purse that was my mom's that has lots of pockets and stuff in it. And so I have little quiet activities in there for them to do. So there's some little board books. There's some like note cards and pens and pencils. There's some flashcards that have like a letter on the back and then a word on the front. Popsicle sticks and clothespins that Mariah likes to put the clothespins on the popsicle sticks. Just some quiet things like that. We don't do like cars because you get vroom, 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 vroom.
Smashing things together and stuff.
Animals, they start making the noises.
Right.
So you need to see what works for your family. Those don't work for us.
Okay.
So we've got this little purse that it also has a couple little pocket Bibles in it, so the littles can look through Bibles if they want to.
Mm-hmm.
But once they get to be a reader, they get their own bag. We don't have any. Like they're just learning. Abigail and Josiah are just learning to read. So that's what we have in that. So we pack those bags, and my bag, like the little kids' Bible bag, also has diapers and wipes and an extra set of clothes for Malachi.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are ready. So Sunday morning, we get up, we have our breakfast, we go to church. As I said, we worship together as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids stay with us through the Sunday school and the church service. They have favorite people they like to see at church, so they love going to church on Sunday mornings because they're so sad because they want to see people and they want to be part of the singing. And the older kids really enjoy the sermon.
But the little ones, also, something they do in preparation sometimes just to give them something to do, but to remind them also that we're going to church. We're going to go be with our brothers and sisters in Christ, and we want to be encouraged with them. So a lot of times they will make cards during the week. They will draw a card or draw a picture or make something and bring it to some of their favorite older folks.
Yeah, most of them.
They
not
hang
all
out
of
with
you.
the older crowd.
So if some of you are watching and you're not an older folk, do not be offended. But a lot of the people they are friends with are
60s
like
and above.
yeah.
80s and above.
Yeah, they've got
Something like that.
some much older people.
Yeah.
That they love to spend time with. So
Yeah.
so that's really good. That's our Sunday morning, and then we stay after church to talk as long as the church building's open.
Yep.
We're usually one of the
As
last
long as
people.
anybody else is willing to hang around and talk,
And
we'll
so
be there.
the
pretty much.
Caverly family, which is friends of ours, they're usually the last ones there too. So we usually leave at the end of, we usually leave there around 1 o'clock or something to come home. Hopefully we bring someone home with us that we can spend the afternoon with. If we don't have somebody spending the afternoon, or if they come and can only stay a short time and then they leave, we usually let the children watch a show on Sunday afternoon, and it's a time to just lay down and take a nap. So what we'll do is we'll bring pillows and blankets into the living room. The kids all kind of set up their own little bed in the living room, and we all just relax. So the big girls will take spots on the couch, Mark and I will take spots in the reclining chairs, and we just all relax until we... Yes?
I think people might have the question when you said put on a show.
Oh.
I think everybody who's been watching us long enough knows that we're not really the people that sit in front of a television a lot. So what kind of show, when you say put on a show, one, what do we watch? Mm-hmm. And then two, what is it we're attempting to accomplish with that? Because some shows are like, this is going to bore you to sleep.
Oh, yeah.
And we're hoping you'll take a nap. But some shows are actually informative and encouraging and biblical. So.
Okay, so it depends on what kind of day we're having and who we want to take a nap. It depends on what kind of show we want.
Yeah.
So we let the kids watch some of the goofier shows, I guess you'd say, like VeggieTales, that are, more lighthearted and fun if I don't want people to take a nap, because they're very entertaining and the kids will sit and watch those. So if I just need something to let us bigger people just kind of have a Sundays, I know, can be stressful for people because you're trying to keep your kids all in line while you're at church. You're trying to, meet everybody else's expectations, which I know we have to not worry about everybody else. But when you're out with your kids, you're trying to make sure that they're being kind to others and they're not smacking other children and they're not, back talking adults, those types of things. Because you're teaching them all through the week. But as a family like ours, we are home a lot. So it's one of the... They love spending time with other people. But they're not with other people all day like kids that might be at public school or anything. So, we are giving them opportunities to talk to other people and how do you interact with other people
and just for ourselves as adults, trying to make sure that we're interacting with other people, giving advice or listening to someone's concerns or praying with someone or any of the different things that we need to do because, again, we go to church to be part of that one body of Christ coming together. So we want to be not just, okay, what can we learn today? What can we get out of this? And are the kids being quiet? But we want to be able to actually interact with people and hear how their week's going.
Right.
And hear what they're learning.
And pour our lives into them, too. So that's just a lot on people's plate. And church tends to be a hard time for Mark, neurologically. So we all just need a breather afterwards.
It tends to be pretty hard on it.
And
large crowds, multiple conversations and noises, things like that. And even music that I like can cause me some pretty severe neurological problems. Sometimes I ended up leaving in a wheelchair, and sometimes I'm totally fine. You never know what it's going to be. But yeah, so Sunday mornings are great and times of learning, but they can be very stressful. So the afternoon we tend to figure out who needs a nap and whether...
Right. So it depends whether also we're going back to church in the evening, depending on how Mark's feeling in the afternoon will depend on if we go back to church. Like, decides whether we go back to church or not. And so it'll depend on what we turn on. Sometimes we will turn on a science show. There's a lot of good old movie science videos. We really like those. The Riot and the Dance, which they just came out with the second one. So the Riot and the Dance Earth, and now they have the Riot and the Dance Water, which is...
We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen the new one, but by Gordon Wilson, just amazing photography and videography, and teaches it from a creation standpoint.
And gives glory to God for that. All the masterful, awesome, creative designs that God has made in nature. It's not just, hey, look at this thing, it's really cool. It's look at the wisdom of God that could create something like that. So the first one, Earth, was an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, something like that. It was on Amazon Prime, so if you have Prime, you can watch that. But Riot and the Dance Water, we have not yet seen, but we will be seeing it probably today or tomorrow. VidAngel.com, I think it is having a free 30-day trial of their services during this time of quarantine to try to bless people. So Gordon Wilson's work, Riot and the Dance Water, is on VidAngel, and I'll try to put a link down here and here somewhere. Sarah's reaching across me to see how the bread turned out.
I know, I'm trying to figure out if it came out okay.
It looks good.
Yeah. You're right, Lola. It doesn't look so good. if you cut it while it's hot.
Hey, I'll eat it.
It's really good.
I'll eat it. Yeah.
Just send it up to me.
That'll be fine.
So I will try to do another video on resources that we like to use. But we usually will put on a history show or a science show. Something we are very picky on what we let the kids watch. So something that we don't have to sit and micromanage everything. We don't watch many movies, fiction type movies. Most of what we watch is documentary. No, most of what we watch is a documentary type, learning type thing. We'll sometimes watch I don't know, you call them a reality show, I guess, but not really. We watch some BBC things that are people acting out. They lived in a certain time in history, those types of things. But
the Wartime Farm from the BBC.
Wartime Farm from BBC was
very educational.
That was really good. If you want to know how things happened with rationing and how they taught people how to cook from their victory gardens and that type of thing, really interesting right now. Wartime Farm by the BBC. So we're just picky about those things. So anyway.
Because we don't want to just entertain them generally. We want to try to encourage them educate them and give them something from a Christian worldview, but we do also watch things that are not from a Christian worldview.
Right, things that teach about a certain time and place of history and things like that. Torchlighters, I don't know if I mentioned that, but Torchlighters is something we watch, which is missionary stories that are cartoon, but tell about different missionaries from the past. So those are neat. So anyway, so that's our Sunday afternoon. We take a rest time, just truly rest. And I forgot to say, before church, we usually have a dance party, and dancing isn't a Baptist thing, but we'll usually turn on like Ernie Haas or some like Southern Gospel, Bill Gaither type music.
Geddes.
Or the I was going to say that. Geddes or
yeah.
Sovereign Grace, we'll turn on those types of things, and the kids will sing really loud and dance around the living room and just get energy up before we go to church.
Yeah.
And so I do like your red Lola. Looks great. It's going to taste great too. So that's what we do. And then Sunday evening, if we go to church, we bring a substantial snack for the children to eat on the way home so they won't be hungry. So it might be something like peanuts and raisins or peanut butter crackers, something that'll fill them up for the rest of the evening. So I don't have to feed them once we get home.
So our church does have an evening service most Sunday nights. That's the general rule of things. Sunday nights, evening for me specifically, with my neurological issues, with my dystonia and the other things, come about 4 p.m., it's hit or miss whether I'm going to be conscious. So taking a 300-pound, 6'5" man and stuffing him into a van so that you can haul him out of the van, half the time end up in a wheelchair to go to church when you've already got tired children and it's a different, sometimes that doesn't happen. We'd love to be there, but a lot of times it can't happen.
Winter's really hard because it's cold and possibly icy, and, people are done. I don't know where you guys live, but in Maine, the sun goes down really early in the winter.
Like 3:30.
Yeah, like really early. Like we drive to night church in the dark, really, really dark. Hi, Christina! We miss you. So that makes it harder because when it starts to get dark at 3:30, 4 o'clock, you just don't feel like going out. I mean, it's not like you should go because of a feeling, but the kids are already tired, already ready to go to sleep before we leave the house at 5:30 to go back to church for our 6 o'clock service.
So oftentimes that means we have I won't say names, but maybe a 5-year-old girl or something that at a certain time of night can lose her marbles, and it's not disobedience. It's not an issue of behavior. It's her body's just done, and it just doesn't work. So we have to think about that. Or if Josiah's having a lot of seizures on a certain day, or if Daddy's having a lot of spells on a certain day.
If we don't go back to church in the evening, we will usually take that time to do something as a family, whether it be read some books together or play a game, probably all the stuff people are doing while they're quarantined at home right now.
Or the super fun, awesome thing that our family loves to do, listen to a debate.
Yeah.
Okay, some of us like debates more than others.
It's not that I don't like the debates, but the littles don't sit very quietly for debates. They do like James White, though. The 2-year-old, the past couple days for nap time, has been like, turn on James White! So
this is James White or Dr. White?
He says James White.
Oh.
So he gets to do James White. So we have another...
Ooh, somebody else. Just curious. What is the biblical significance of the head dress and skirt?
Okay, so I think I don't know if I've made a video of
this. I think you might have, but I'm not sure.
So we'll give a basic idea here. Maybe I can make another video. But we first heard about this when we went to a Plymouth Brethren church to visit friends who live here in the area. And so Plymouth Brethren has the same roots as Amish and Mennonite, except most Amish and Mennonites believe that their works are what they're getting into heaven. It's not only by the grace of God and the blood of Jesus Christ that they're getting to heaven. They believe that it's the works that they're doing, and that's why they dress a certain way. That's why they do a certain thing. But this came out of the same roots of it. So the Plymouth Brethren are much more conservative and much more, based on the biblical pattern of...
Let me clarify.
Okay, sorry.
there's a lot of little hot button things in here for those that are really informed on the issue.
Right. I'm trying to give a very.
So we're trying to be vague and broad. And
someone brought us some chocolate chip muffins.
Chocolate chip muffins, fresh in the oven. You eat, I'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah. So the head covering is something that, if you look in the New Testament of your Bible, in the book of 1 Corinthians, Paul has this lengthy letter that he writes, and it's 16 chapters long, but chapters 10 through 14 specifically contain a lot of why we do church and how we're supposed to do church, what the church looked like, and how various spiritual gifts were used, and how the meeting was run, and the place of different people in that meeting. And in chapter 11, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, it speaks specifically of when a man is praying or prophesying, he should have his head uncovered. So he should, if he has a hat, he takes it off. And if a woman is praying or prophesying, then she puts a covering on. And there's some explanation of that, and I would point you to the group on Facebook, Head Covering for Calvinists, because our friends on there are very handy at documentation and giving us all kinds of sources for that.
Yes.
But the basics being 1 Corinthians 11 says when a woman is praying or prophesying, she covers her head. And when a man is praying or prophesying, so speaking on behalf of God to people, or speaking to God on behalf of, speaking to God on behalf of people, or speaking to people on behalf of God, then he should uncover his head. Because of the creation order and how God has made him. So that's the basics of it. Why she covers when she reads the Bible, and when I uncover if I'm reading the Bible or preaching, is 1 Corinthians 11 and the instructions we find there.
Right. So we started seeing the head covering when we went to this church, which practices more of a New Testament assembly pattern.
Yeah, they would say those are prescriptive rather than descriptive.
They say that it's not just what they did at the time, but that we should continue doing them.
Right.
And so they have many men speak. Mm-hmm. So during what they call the breaking of bread, where they do their communion, any man in the meeting can share a hymn, can share something that's spoken to them through the scriptures. They can pray, those types of things. And so their assembly, the women all covered their head during the service. Mm-hmm. And we had gone this one Sunday. I came home and I started studying it out, and I was like, I think maybe I'm supposed to do that. I don't know. So I went to Mark and I said, I think I'm supposed to do this, but I don't see that it's only for church. So
and being the spiritual leader that I am,
I wear a head cover.
Yeah, being the spiritual leader that I am, I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I had to go read it and study up on it and learn a little bit. And I think in the end we figured out pretty quickly, hopefully pretty quickly, that this is Paul writing as an apostle in the New Testament to a New Testament church with a question about what is the propriety of the order of worship and how do people contain themselves. And it said that the women cover and the men uncover, and it said, like in chapter 14 of 1 Corinthians, it says, let 2 or 3 prophets speak and let the others judge. So that pattern isn't just made up somewhere. It's specifically looking at 1 Corinthians, I'd say chapters 10 through 14, to see, God instituted the church is the bride of Jesus Christ, and he's given instructions through his apostles that we would know how he wants to be worshipped, and how our worship is reflected in the way we dress and how we do. So I want you to answer the skirts thing, because I don't wear skirts.
We'll do skirts in a minute, but we decided, we know some people who cover for church service because they believe that 1 Corinthians 11 through 14 is talking about when we come together, and I understand how they've come to that conclusion. For our family, we've decided to wear our head coverings all the time, as it says that we should always be in an attitude of prayer, like the Bible talks about praying without ceasing and those types of things. And we should always be ready to give an answer to the hope that lies within us. So that would be prophecy, and I'm speaking God's words to other people. And so I choose to wear a head cover all the time. Our older girls, who are both Christians, who have both been baptized, they choose to wear their head covers all the time. Our 5-year-old daughter does not, but she is unregenerate. She has not made a claim to believe in Christ. So we have her wear it when we do our family Bible study, when we go to church, when we do our prayer time at night. but she does not have to wear it all the time. If she chose to put it on all the time, I would not have a problem with that, but I'm not forcing her to wear it because she is not praying at all times, and she's not giving an answer for the hope that lies within her because she doesn't have that she doesn't have Christ as her Savior. So that was the end of. I know people who wear the covering only for church, and I understand why that would be too. So, as a family, we have chosen to wear skirts. The Bible says that you need to be modest, and in the Old Testament, I can't remember where right now, it talks about nakedness being uncovering the thigh. So it seems that at least the thighs should be covered. So for our family, we have decided to wear skirts because it is easier to put stipulations on what is modest apparel or not for our family. I know many women who wear pants and they are not immodest in their dress. Just for us, it's easier for me to say we are going to wear longer skirts and they're not going to be form-fitting skirts. I know you can be inappropriate in a skirt and you can be inappropriate in pants. A lot of that has to do with your heart issues, not necessarily the clothing that is on your body. You can be wearing things that are very covering and still be very immodest in your behavior. And you can be wearing things because of, like, I know some people who dressed immodestly before they became Christians, and they still had that closet of clothes. They can't just go buy new clothes. Like, oh, I want to buy some more skirts, but you can only buy one at a time with the money you have. Their behavior became much more modest. So anyone can be immodest in the clothing that they're wearing. It's more about teaching your kids what modesty is and not drawing attention to yourself.
I think that. Yeah, I think so. I think the heart changes.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, let us know if that doesn't answer the question. I think that's the difference, is the heart change that you see. A lot of people, women can still wear pants. We're not opposed to that. Just because the ladies in our house choose to dress a certain way doesn't mean we're imposing a standard on other people. This is not a legalist issue. This is not something that we command to others. Rather, it's something that. Sorry, there's a question now. I can't remember what I was talking about. Yeah, it's something that we see the Bible, we see the principles that are there, but it doesn't say thou must wear skirts. It doesn't say a length. We see that uncovering of the thigh being nakedness in the Old Testament. We say, well, let's make sure that we're not abridging that. Let's make sure we're not trampling on that one. So they wear long skirts, and they tend to be really long because they like them, and it's cold in Maine, so covering yourself up isn't a bad thing a lot of times.
We try to err on the side of caution. So, like, wearing the head cover, before I figured out exactly when I should be wearing it, I chose to wear it all the time because here's my thought. I would rather God say to me, someday in the future, God say, you didn't have to wear that all the time, but thank you for obeying in your heart when you didn't know, rather than saying you didn't do as much as you should have. Like, if we tell our kids to go make their bed, we don't want them to just throw the blanket on top. We want them to actually, take pride, not pride in that way, but, be diligent in what they're doing and to do a good job. And so there's a lot of times that Christians are walking the line. Like, okay, the Bible says we can't murder, but how much can I beat them up before I kill them? I'm not saying a Christian would do that, but that
Jesus
idea.
said if you hate your brother in your heart, you're guilty of murder. And if you look at a woman to lust after her, you're guilty of it. So Jesus really talked much more about the heart. There's a lot of lines in the Old Testament that very much are relevant to us today, but aren't law to us. So instead of saying, how close can I get to the edge without jumping over the line, we say, what pleases God? What is it God wants from us? So we'd rather do what pleases Him than just try to avoid. And can you imagine parenting this way? I told the children they can't go outside, so they stand in the doorstep of the doorway with the door open. But you told them they can't go outside. It's like, well, they're not bridging that, but they're not going over the line. But in their heart, it's like, well, I'm sitting down on the inside but standing up on the outside. Or whichever direction that is. See, I can't even talk.
Thank you.
Look, more muffins. I haven't even eaten my first muffin. Does anybody want a muffin?
So we would rather, if the line's here, we'd rather be swaying way over to the side because we know that as adults we're going to, not as adults, as people, as humans, we are going to sin. We were born as sinners, and so we know that we're going to stumble, and it should be a stumble. It shouldn't be jumping into the pit of sin. But if we stumble, I don't want to stumble over that line. I'd rather stumble and be able to be righted further away from that line. I guess I don't know if that made sense, but that's that question. So yes, we did, Christina, we did make the shirts. So the shirts say Jesus Christ is King. It's all going to be backwards for them. So I just read the back. There's a whole bunch of stuff on the back, but it says, Jesus said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations. And then at the bottom of the shirt, it says facebook.com/cows4jesus. Heralds of the Gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we made the shirts for going out on the street to do ministry because it is easier with all of these children to be able to see everybody when we're all wearing the same outfit. So that's why we made them, and it's a good conversation starter.
You know how many times we walk through Walmart or Sam's Club or just out on the street corner someplace, we were like, Jesus Christ is King, and they're like, Amen, or they ask a question.
It gets a little confusing when someone walks by you and they're like, yes, he is, and you're like, okay, what do we say? And then you're like, oh, I'm wearing the shirt.
But the shirt also, on the back, has a quote from Matthew 28, as you said, that Jesus Christ is King. It says, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. That's what Jesus said after his resurrection. That he had all authority in heaven and on earth at that time. And based on that authority, we go and preach the gospel and make disciples and baptize the converts and teach them to observe everything Jesus commanded. So it's an evangelistic shirt. It's also an identifier where, like she said, when you're looking, you're out on a park or something like that, you can easily spot those kids with a red shirt with the giant white letters on them. So that does make it easier.
But yeah, we made them. We had another shirt that we had made that was orange that had a picture of, like, I had drawn out a picture of a sketch of our family. Mm-hmm. And on the back, Mark had identified each of the people with little funny homemaker in training or biblical enthusiast, those types of things. Okay. Those were a good way to spot the kids too when we were out doing ministry.
Sibling rejuvenator.
So so we had these shirts made up, and they're getting old, so we'll probably be making up some more in the near future. So only our family has these, except for two wonderful street preacher friends, Mike and Robert. They each have one of these shirts. We wanted to have them be part of our family. So they each have their shirt. But yeah, that's where our shirts came from. I don't know how much, when we figured it out, it wasn't that much.
It was about $200 to do 2 shirts each for myself and Sarah, and I think at the time 5.
No, Abigail
Malachi didn't have any shirts, and
Ryan
didn't have a shirt. So 5 of them plus 2 of us, it's 14. Like 16 shirts, probably $12 a piece, something like that. And there's a local Christian business that does printing, that he's screen printing there. And he was able to take the design and put it on shirts for us, and got them to us, I don't know, maybe a week or so, maybe less, to get a dozen shirts. So then when we go out, whether it's passing tracks, or whether we're preaching on the street corner, or whether we're just walking through the park together, or sometimes going to church together. We can see each other, and it starts the conversation to remind us that just as she was talking about praying and prophesying, we should always be in an attitude of prayer. We should always, as Christians, be wanting to be telling people about Christ. Like we're identified with and called as Christians. So we want to be identified with Christ, so we want to tell people about him. So the shirts are the conversation starter, and we see in our van, it's the same thing. We have the white vinyl letters plastered all on the side of our family van. Different Bible verses, and they are conversation starters. Often we come out of Walmart or Sunday Club or the library or wherever we are, and somebody's standing there reading our van. It's an opportunity to talk to them.
Well, and I don't know how many times people have stopped me in the store. Like, we'll be halfway through Walmart, and they'll stop me and they'll be like, is that your van outside? That's all they'll say. Not, is this the one with the Bible verse? No, is that your van outside? And I'll say, yes, that is our van outside, because it stands out in a good way. And, I mean, some people might not like it, but I'm okay with that. We've had lots of people who have read the van out loud, kind of criticizing us. reading the band out loud to everybody in the parking lot, and that just means that God's word is being proclaimed. So
As Paul said, I think it was the Tigers, that some people preach Christ supposing to have afflictions in their palms, but nonetheless Christ is preached, so bring it on. We've had young people, we passed them a gospel tract, just have some Bible verses on it, and we give it to them, trying to bless them and encourage them to read it, and they'll start reading it aloud, making fun, mocking it, but they're walking down the street proclaiming God's word, so we'll take that. We're very happy to hear God's name. We don't like seeing them mocked, but oftentimes start conversations. So, just an interesting way to start conversations. We also have some big vinyl, some corrugated plastic signs that we use as evangelism, but we can post them out in our front yard, actually. As long as they're 33 feet from the center line of the road and they're not permanently fixed.
We talked to the code enforcement officer. They are allowed there.
Yep. So we have different Bible verses on those signs that are 2 foot by 3 foot, with large lettering, 3/4 lettering, and we put them up there from time to time with different Bible verses. And so our neighbors, as they're coming in and out, or people visit us, can be encouraged by Scripture.
So,
Any more questions? I don't see any more questions. It's getting gross out there. And tomorrow, our church has lives. Today's
Friday, tomorrow's Saturday.
Today's only Friday. In a couple of days, provided the world hasn't gone totally insane in the interim, our church is going to do a live stream service on Sunday morning, and actually do a live stream on Sunday school class. So that would be interesting. I will look at that and see how we can be part of that. How we can interact with that. Because it is hard. It's hard dealing with not being with people. Especially for me. Like, we're having this one-way conversation where I'm talking to him and I'm talking to you. But we tried to do a video chat with a couple of friends the other night, and my brain can't handle that. Whatever goes on in my head, I cannot do a video chat. I just can't do it.
So the real question, something we'll leave you with, something we'll leave you with is we just want to encourage you to think about what you are missing from church, because what you are missing is just the people that be in social club. There's a lot of different people that I miss that I see in different aspects. Like, I'm part of a group of moms that get together, we all have babies about the same time. And I miss those ladies, I want to get together with them. But I miss the church for a different reason. I miss being together with brothers and sisters in Christ who we can worship the Lord together, who we can hear our voices mingle in the singing, and we can hear teaching of things to just glorify Him and to just magnify Him in the way that He's supposed to be magnified. It's different than just wanting to get together with friends. So just, what are you missing about your church? And if you realize that you're missing your church just because it is a social club, what can we do to help encourage your church to really be truly
Definitely, it's a hard time. We're in a strange. I know the word unprecedented comes out a lot, but it is for our age, with the technology and the things we have available, and the lifestyle that we've all become accustomed to living in. It's a major change for most of us to not leave our homes on a regular basis, or to even think about whether the church is going to. Whether the church is going to gather at the same building at the same time and do the same things they used to do. It's very strange for us to think that way. But no, we're not the only people in the world. There are Christians persecuted all over the world. Actually persecuted, not just not able to go out to a building because of a public health issue. But genuinely, the government is there making sure that if they do go to church, they're going to haul them off to jail. Whip them or beat them or destroy the building. That was happening in China months before the coronavirus thing started. Yeah, I mean, we've been reading lots of stories about Christian martyrs, but think about the privilege that we have generally in this country, and why do we go to church, and what are we supposed to be doing when we're there? Maybe look at 1 Corinthians 10 through 14 and say,
we've been studying that.
Here's what Paul told them to do. Maybe we should look at, are we doing that? Maybe we are. And maybe there's some minor things we need to change. Maybe there's some major things we need to change. But if we want to we have this time where we're not able to get together and our routines have been upset. Maybe it's a really good time to examine what we believe, why we believe it, can we defend it from the scripture, and then go forward and see what we need to do. Maybe it's just, well, when I go to church, I used to come to listen, I enjoyed the singing and I enjoyed listening, but I wasn't really doing any encouraging or any interacting with people. I just come and I go, and it's more about what I get out of it, rather to see it as a means to serve other people, to hear the needs in other people's lives, and to pray with them and pray for them. So maybe it's a good time for that.
That's all things you can do. So we'll leave you with that. Yeah. Think of somebody that you would be praying for, and I'm gonna try to think of somebody that I'm not currently praying for, because one person I see watching Christina, I have been praying for you. But ways that you can be praying for other people, like specifically ask them, what can I be praying for in your life today? Because I know that my needs and the things that we desire prayer for might be different than somebody else. Like, we're home as a family, Mark isn't leaving. I have another friend whose husband has to leave every day, and he goes into public areas where he could get sick every day, and then could be bringing that home to the family. So that's a totally different need. God knows what those needs are, and so if God puts one to your heart to pray for, just start praying for them, because God knows what the need is. But you more specifically pray for somebody, and it's really encouraging to people if you ask them, what can I be praying for you this week, and actually pray for it, and then ask for updates on it, because that is, it's just a huge blessing to know that people are praying for you, people are thinking about you, and they're holding you up before the Lord in prayer. So, who can you be praying for this week? And is there somebody that you can encourage in some godly aspect you see in their lives? Whether it be, I know you're a strong prayer warrior, thank you for your, what you're doing to build God's kingdom in that. Thank you for being out on the street ministering, if there's somebody who's able to do that. Thank you for getting food to the widows. Whatever that is there somebody that you can reach out to and just bless them with a word of encouragement for what they're doing for God's kingdom? So, let us know if you're doing any of those things.
Yeah, and watch out for some new videos. We've got a bunch of stuff in the works. Watch out for new videos, because we have some stuff in the works for cooking and organizing and homeschooling and music and all kinds of things that we've got in the works. And you can feel free to let us know in the comments down below if there's some things you'd like for us to answer a little more in depth in a little more organized way.
So one of the things we are going to be doing is we did a video the other day on how to use a WIC check. We found out what a 2 to 5-year-old gets for a WIC check, and we showed what those portions would look like and how to make a meal. We're also finding out from the local food pantry what is going in the boxes right now that we're going out to people, so that we can hopefully make some videos of how to use dry beans and things that people may not know how to use. So if you know something that is like, I know nobody uses this thing, people don't know how to make this thing, let me know in the comments, and we can maybe make a video on it. And if I don't know how to make it, we'll make a video of, here's me making the video the thing the first time, and it might be a total failure, like the caramel sauce made on that video, but you know what, it can be fun to eat.
We're willing to try.
So, thank you for joining us today.
Bye, everybody.